Hello, ladies and gentlemen from around the world. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Global Talkative Series with your host, Lanre Ajayi. Now, this is a global platform to hang out, collaborate, and inspire one another. And we've been blessed on this show to have amazing guests from around the world coming to share their amazing experiences with us. And today we have a topic that is very important. That's especially for individuals in other part of the world who are not in the Western world will be much more interested in this topic. And thank you for all those who are joining us from our studio here. We're broadcasting and we're reaching you from Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube live in real time. And our guest today is no other person but Buki Abanewanda. And I'm just going to bring her in on Instagram so that we can all flow along together on all the platforms. For those who are joining, even Dominic's Cosmetics, thank you for joining. Jerry of One Immigrant, thank you for joining on this platform. We appreciate you for taking time to join. So we're expecting Buki to come in and join this conversation. Oh, we're in from, is that ethnic or Lanrajai? Okay, let me just end the video and see where. Yeah, this is Lanrajai. Wow, it's Lanrajai. Lanrajai. Sorry for the break in transmission for all our Instagram followers. So we'll be expecting our guest to come in right about now. Okay, Shara Consult is in. Amazing. That is wonderful. So just want to control the volume. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have our guest in the house by the name of Buki Abanewanda. But before we go into today's topic, what we're discussing today, I would like to read a short bio about our guest before, you know, dealing with all the questions today. And by the way, our topic for discussion today is the ABC of Canadian immigration and settlement, steps towards permanent relocation, study business and visa opportunities. I know a lot of folks around the world, especially in other part of the world, they're interested in coming to Canada. They want to come to Canada by all means, and we've had series of challenges in terms of people walking in from the border or the processes, and we have stories of those who've been swindled, out of their hard-earned cash. But today we hope to have a discussion and then find a solution through the expertise of Buki Abanewanda. So here goes the bio. Buki Abanewanda is the principal consultant at Shira Consults, and she has worked in immigration since 2017. After migrating to Canada in 2013, Buki received a master's in finance from St. Mary's University, Halifax, Nova Scotia, and she worked in the finance industry for over 3 years. During this time, Buki assisted others with their pursuit of Canadian dream. After numerous successes, Buki took the steps to turn her passion into profession to compete with the best immigration consultant. Buki is professionally trained and she continues to update our knowledge and expertise. Our dedication, professional training, and commitment to continuously educate ourselves has made Buki a master in the field of immigration, and this manifests through the myriad of referrals and testimonials at Shira Consort. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Buki Abani Wonder. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much, Lami, for having me here. And thank you all for joining today's conversation. I'm excited to be here.
I can tell you that we have audiences from around the world, watching this live broadcast, and we have questions that has been sent in, and we hope that we can do justice to the questions today because I get a lot of calls from Nigeria, especially I'm from Nigeria. From Nigeria, I get a lot of calls. Oh, I want to come to Canada. Oh, what can I do? In fact, some are even offering to, can I just pay you and then get me the document and I will come? I say it doesn't work that way. You can't just give me money. You know, it's processes and steps, and we need the right information, the right education to know what to do, and to avoid, being swindled or being falling to getting to the hands of wrong individual. That is why we bring our special guest on this show today. Now, the question I have for you today, Buki, is let's start by talking about your journey to Canada. What inspired you to move here, and how would you describe your experience so far?
Okay, so I moved here in 2013. Just like you read in my bio, I moved for my master's and I started my journey in 2012. And what I really wanted was, as a young person, I felt that I wanted to know more in the finance field, which I came from an accounting background. And I really just wanted to explore that a bit more and better opportunities, right? Better opportunities, better prospects. My brother had already gone ahead of me. He was in the UK and I knew all the things that he was learning and he was sharing with me. So I really wanted an opportunity to be in an advanced country to actually give myself that opportunity to compete with the best in my field. And that was why I decided that I wanted to choose Canada and leave Nigeria at the time when I did. And so for me, my journey so far has been pretty interesting through the ups and downs. Finished my master's in 2014 in Halifax. I went to St. Mary's University. And from there, I moved right to Calgary, and I've been in Calgary ever since. And I got my first job within the first 4 months that I moved to Calgary. I got it as a working in the bank, and that was my journey. Moved up the ladder, changed even jobs, even to another bank, and before I decided that this wasn't for me. But pretty much for me, my experience in terms of not just settling into Canada has been pretty straightforward. The journey of entrepreneurship is a different thing altogether, which is the journey
Yeah.
I'm on right now. So yes.
So, what has the experience been so far since you moved to Canada?
Well, my experience with the people, with
Yeah,
the
people, the land, the
with the land,
community.
with the community. There's every Canada is very diverse. So, I mean, there's every country or every nationality is almost represented in Canada now. And so for me, I've met quite a number of good Nigerians who helped me, in my settling into Canada. And so my experience has been positive in terms of the people, in terms of the culture. Yes, there's a bit of culture shock that you have to adjust to, and that comes with opening your mind and
Yeah.
knowing that you've decided to call Canada home. So you have to learn the way things are done here, just so that you would not have to struggle in getting things for yourself.
Thank you very much for that question. So we go straight to the next question. Now, in recent years, lots of attention has been, on Canada, mainly because of the standard of living and the immigration laws. People are like, okay, I want to go to Canada. The next thing I'm moving to Canada. Now the question is this: do you think Canada is for everyone?
Yes, I do think that Canada is for everyone. So now everyone would be, do you want a better life for yourself? Do you want a country where yourself, if you decide to have a family or you already have a family, do you want a place that is safe for them to be in? Do you want quality education? Do you want a quality healthcare that you don't have to pay through your nose to access? Do you want all of those things? If the answer is yes, then Canada is for you. However, the caveat to that is, would everybody be able to come to Canada? No. That's the reality of things, right?
Hmm.
As much as Canada is for everyone, not everybody can come to Canada. Some people would not be eligible. Some people would be lazy to do what it takes to be able to make it to Canada.
Hmm.
Some people would not probably have the financial resources to put into coming to Canada. Some people would not trust the right people to help them with their journey. They get swindled and then they get discouraged and then they forget about it. And some people would delay so many times before they actually, start this journey, and it's just too late for them. So everybody can come to Canada, but not everybody would be able to come to Canada. If your goal is have a better life, whatever your interpretation of a good life is, Canada can give it to you. However, it might not be feasible for everyone because there are requirements, there are regulations, there are eligibility, that you have to meet in order to be able to come to Canada. So that's very important. So that when somebody is telling you something about coming to Canada and Canada, just let everybody, let's go, then you know that this is where that stops, because not everybody can come to
Hmm.
Canada.
Thank you very much. This is still the Global Talkative Series, a global platform to hang out, collaborate, and inspire one another. I'm still your host, Lanre Ajayi, and our guest today is Buki Abanewanda, the principal consultant at Shura Consults. And I want to thank all those who are joining us from around the world. I see Fitted Design Daily from Nigeria. Tracy Oyekomi, thank you for joining. Inka Oladele, Agrola Alawale, the policeman, thank you from Nigeria. Timlane Samuel Alabiadene come from Calgary. And for those who are watching from China and Asia, 242 Money, thank you for joining. We appreciate all those who are joining from around the world. Now, before we go to the next question, which is one of the major questions that all our guests are waiting to hear, what do you do at Shira Consults?
So at Shira Consults, we're a Canadian, we're an immigration. We focus only on Canada. So Canadian immigration and settlement. So anything surrounding immigrating to Canada, with the exception of refugee and business immigration, we handle. We handle visitors visa, we handle study admission and study visa, we handle permanent residency either through express entry or through the province, or through the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program or the Rural Northern Immigration Pilot Program. We handle all of that. Now, I need to put a caveat to this, because one of the questions we get often on our phone lines, DMs, and everywhere is, how can you help me get a job offer? We are not a recruitment agency, so we don't help you get a job offer. What we do assist people with is, if you need a Canadian resume and cover letter, our HR team is able to put that together for you so that you are able to apply for jobs, with recruitment companies. There are international recruitment companies, and that's their focus. So, but our focus is, once you've gotten your job or you're in the process, we can then help you with a work permit in that regard.
I like the way you explain that you are not a recruitment agency. Basically, you are just a driver. You just drive them to Canada. When you get to Canada, then you can now begin to find your way around. But yours is just a means of getting them here successfully,
Absolutely.
to avoid all forms of. Because I remember when I moved to this country about 5 years ago, one of my friends were just in the process of doing it together. And then she, he and she, both of their family friends too, they got stuck somewhere. And because
Mm,
they have little access to information, some things that probably a phone call away will have saved them a lot of money, they missed a deadline. And then when I told them I'm good, they said, "Oh, what happened?" And then I started explaining what happened. I said, "Well, you have spoken out." So there's a need for you to have the right knowledge on how to come to Canada. And I thank you for trying to establish the fact that you don't get jobs for people in Canada so that they won't think, okay, if you can get me a job and I will come. No. If you're a serious minded person, you want a quality of life, good life, that is all you do. Thank you very much. Now, the next question is the biggest question that people are waiting to hear.
mhm.
What are the key steps to take if anyone wants to immigrate to Canada? I know there are several steps, but what are the
Yeah.
key steps?
So now, before you even start taking any steps to come to Canada, the first thing is that you need to answer for yourself is, am I eligible to come? Like I've stated before, as much as everybody wants to come to Canada, not everybody can come. So you need to know what your reality is. Now, when people book consultations with us, this is what we tell people. I mean, and this is the yardstick. If you are above 34, as of today, based on what I know today. Tomorrow, maybe it might change, but as of today that I'm speaking to you, if you're above 34, your chances of immigrating to Canada is very slim.
Hmm,
Now, to come into Canada as a permanent resident is very slim. Here is why: the age requirements and everything has gone up. Like, the younger you are, the better. Like, right now, our clientele are like in their 20s. 90% of our clientele are in their late 20s, early to late 20s. That's the 90% of our clientele, because the distribution has changed. Before then, in 2018, our clientele were in their late 30s and early 40s. but now it's everything has switched now because there were so many policy. The federal government gave more power to the provinces. Now, when those provinces invite you and you get a nomination, you get 600 points. That 600 points goes into and they're all aligned with what we call the express entry. So now, when that 600 points hits the express entry, it's now driven up the points, the minimum points that people are now invited under. So what we find is cutoff for people is now maximum 34, which is based on whether you qualify under the province or whether you qualify just directly under express entry. Now if you're above, so that's the first question you need to answer for yourself. That's the first thing, because that's what would know whether this is what option should I be pursuing. Should I be pursuing permanent residency? Should I be pursuing student route? So if you're above 34, our requirement for people right now is you need to start looking at the student route, or you need to look at programs like the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, the Rural Northern Immigration Pilot Program. But here is one thing. I know that people have thrown this around, so I don't know whether you're here, this is the first time you're hearing any information, or you're here, you've gotten you've never heard any information. But the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program or the Rural Northern Immigration Pilot Program are programs that, they've actually moved, they were designed for people that are already in Canada, not for people actually outside Canada. While
Okay.
foreigners can apply for them, they are not designed for them. The government created it, like the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, which consists of 4 provinces: Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, um, um, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland. Those 4 provinces were designed because they saw that the retention rates of graduates from those places were very low. So
Hmm.
government introduced this as a way to retain those talents, to reduce it, and it's actually working because Nova Scotia recorded the highest number of immigrant retention in the past 10 years last year. So
Wow.
government is going to keep on that, and that's why they created it. They didn't create it for foreigners living abroad. They created it for foreigners living in Canada. However, foreigners living abroad can benefit from it. Now, Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, Rural Northern Immigration Pilot Programs, those 2 programs require you to have a job offer. That's why it's not just available and
Hmm.
for anybody to just take, and which is why I put the caveat on the services we can provide for you, that we cannot provide you as much as the Rural Northern Immigration Pilot Program is an immigration route. We cannot provide you with the job offer. You need to apply for the job offer. There's a whole lot of process. Is it easy to get a job in Canada? No. But is it possible? Absolutely. But most times I have friends, I have a very good friend from Russia who got a job through the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program and came. But it took him 9 months before he got his first response,
Hmm.
for the job, and eventually 1.5 years before he moved to Canada. So that's him applying day in, day out. It's a full-time job. So those are the requirements. So that's the first thing, is establishing the fact that, okay, where is my option? Do I want to go for this one that maybe not? Or do I want to start looking at, can I come for school? If you're married, who is the better candidate to come for school? Who can qualify for something? And that's your first step. Then once you've established the fact that, okay, I'm eligible under the permanent residence route, or maybe the student route is the better one because I'm older, then you now begin to now look at options that, okay, since I'm eligible under the express entry, so let's say permanent residency route is the route you want to go.
Okay.
That's what you're eligible for. The question now, Lanre, is you now need to now say, okay, the steps. You need IELTS, you need your education assessment, you need a lot of things that you need to do and you need to put in place. And then you need to now, set up yourself based off on that. There's so many areas when it comes to the permanent residency itself. And then those are now the steps that you now take. You need to also establish, okay, the proof of funds. If you're single, they're looking at almost $13,000. If you're a couple, they're looking at $16,000 plus. So do you have that money set aside, or do you have a family that can gift you the money, and you can get a lawyer to help you to do the deed of gifts for the family member that gifted you the money? So those are the questions you need to start answering, once you've established where you are eligible for. If you're going under the student route, you need to start establishing, okay, what school should I go to? How much can I afford? Was I a brilliant student in school? So I have a first class, I have a 2-1. Can I get scholarship? Which scholarship are available? Those are the things you now start begin to narrow down once you have now established where you are in your requirements.
Wow, this is a lot to take in. I've got a lot of questions coming up as you're talking. Because number one, to our audience, thank you so much, Tian Fash for joining, Irene Joe for joining, Pastor Samuel Emmanuel from Benin City, Nigeria. Thank you for joining. Avia, thank you for joining. We appreciate all those who are joining from around the world. And also, Temitope Ojomo, thank you for joining. Tomi Aderemi Ajayi, thank you for joining. And I want to say, if you have any question for our guest today, if you're watching us on Instagram, you can just type your question. And if you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, just send in your questions. It will be displayed on the screen, and then we'll have time to address the questions. While you were talking, you dropped a bombshell that if you are 34 years old as of today, there's like a major issue. There's that age bracket. Now, but thank God you said if you are above 34, there might be some other opportunities so that our audience will not get discouraged that okay, I'm 34, then I'm done for. Then that means there's no hope of coming to Canada. No, if you're still above 34, there is still a possibility. But
Hmm.
however, if you're below 34, you stand a better chance,
Absolutely, that's the
through
word.
a particular route to come into Canada,
Hmm.
especially if you're a couple. And like, in Africa, basically, we have it's like a custom. The husband is actually older than the wife, and then the wife can apply if they're still within that age range, or
Yes.
if you're students.
Hmm.
So now you've established several steps, through the Northern Atlantic, routes and all of the things you need to do. Now, someone asked me a question. The express entry, the provincial nomination. What is the difference between the two?
Okay, so express entry is like a system whereby the government uses to administer both the federal skilled worker. I'll explain what that means in a minute. The federal skilled trades and the Canadian experience class. So all these three classes are administered. So they are invited, and this pool of people can go into this express entry. It's a system. Now, federal skilled worker means that you are a foreigner, whether you have experience as a self employed person or you have experience working for somebody else from your home country. That is what a federal skilled worker is. Now, a federal skilled trades means that you are an handiwork person. So you see carpenters, hairdressers, cook, chef. Those are all anything that you're doing with your hands that you did
Okay.
not maybe necessarily go to school for, but you learnt it as an apprentice. It's called federal skilled trades. Now,
Okay.
there's now the Canadian experience class. Canadian experience class is for people that are, maybe they are international students. They now, which is the route someone like me qualified for because I had already worked for 1 year. And so you've already worked for at least 1 year in Canada. Then those are the people that. So express entry is just that is just that most people just call everything express entry, but
Entry.
it's actually for three of them, these
Okay.
three fields. Now, what is the difference between provincial nomination and the regular one? Now, keep in mind that provincial nomination and also the federal it's administered under still what is called the federal skilled worker. The federal skilled worker is just how they bring in workers, the what regulates workers coming into
Okay.
Canada. Now, there's the express entry, which is done by the federal government. Express entry is how the federal government invites people directly by themselves. So,
Yeah.
and now, contrary to what sometimes people think is that, oh, government just chooses that they want to give this high number. No, it's not the government that decides what the number should be. Who decides are the people who go into the pool. So if somebody is there, they have 600 and something. Somebody else comes and they are 400 and something. Someone else comes and because they got provincial nomination, they are 1,000 and something. By the time all those people, that's why it's called an express entry pool. All those pool of people coming together, when they do a draw and say, okay, I want 3,000 people from the draw, then the first 3,000 people get invited from the pool. That's how it came about with the name. So now when it
Now,
comes to the
sorry to cut you there. Sorry to cut
yeah,
you. You said 3,000. What? How did they determine that we're picking? Is it like
three,
the first 3,000?
yeah, so the first 3,000 by numbers.
Oh, wow.
Yes, by numbers. So now, if maybe now your it's by ranking. So everybody is ranked according to your number. So let's say somebody is on, I'll use examples of some of my clients. So someone is on, I have somebody who's on 475, I have somebody who's on 469, I have somebody else who's on 486. So if three of them are all in the express entry pool right now, and then when the government goes in and decides that, okay, we want to invite people this draw, the government doesn't give the number that, oh, we want to draw, the minimum draw is going to be 486 today. No, it's not the government that does that. What the government does is based on they'll look at, it's everything is also determined by the economy and, a lot of things that they look at and they say, okay, in this draw, we just want 3,000 people to be invited. So what they now do is they say 3,000 people, and those 3,000 people get invited from the pool. By the time
Okay.
those 3,000 people get invited, the first 3,000 people in terms of numbers will be the one. So if you are 3,001, then it means that you will not get invited in that draw, and most likely maybe you might be positioned to get drawn for the other draw. Now the
Mm.
province also uses the system of federal skilled trades, the same system as federal skilled worker, federal skilled trades, and Canadian experience class. It's just that what the province does is that the province, government, like I said, has given them authority to be able to nominate people that they feel that will be a better fit based on their own economic policies. So that's why
Okay.
you see provincial ones are a bit more difficult to get than direct express entry, because not every occupation will be in demand in every province.
Yeah.
So there are sometimes maybe
Mm.
only a selection of 15. I'll give you an instance. So with Ontario now, Ontario is tech focused because that's their own emphasis. So Ontario has done like 2 draws for tech this year. They've also done, Ontario is also skilled trades focused too. So they've done 2 or 3 draws for skilled trades people, but those who have a job offer in Ontario. And then they've also now done draws for people that are not in tech. So they
Okay.
call them seal priority. So those people are mostly in finance and a few, maybe one or two health sector. And then they also invite them. Now, the express entry also is used by provinces, because now when government implemented express entry in 2015, not every province was ready to come on board to come
Mm.
in. So
Yeah.
it was not until last year that every province now entered into the express entry, with the
Okay.
exception of Quebec and the Northwest Territory.
So you mean
But
Alberta too is involved? Alberta.
Alberta too is involved. Alberta has been inviting people, about 300 people, even though they put a stop last month because of COVID.
The COVID.
And yeah, so because of COVID, they said we are no longer inviting people that are outside of Canada. We're only going to invite people who are, they finished from Canada, from their international graduates. They are working in the province. Those are the people we are inviting because we want to retain those people rather than
Okay.
going outside to go and get people. So that's
Mm.
what Alberta has now done now. Alberta just chooses people sporadically. They've not disclosed to us what the metrics are that they use in inviting people. So there's no metrics for that. But
Okay.
provinces with metrics, there are other provinces with standard metrics,
Okay.
who help you, that you can at least know whether you're eligible or not. Saskatchewan is there, they have their metrics, so you're sure whether you will invite you or not. Every other province right now. So, but before I go into any of those details, but basically that's the difference. Province just means that they are deciding based on what we've seen, the economic output of our province, Saskatchewan, for instance.
Mm.
This is what we diffuse that we feel that are important, that will help us in this next year. So they look at the growth and then they decide the people. And then obviously for express entry, also the federal government and the provinces too, places like Ontario, Nova Scotia, Alberta, they directly pick people. New Brunswick, they directly pick people from the province express entry profile by themselves.
Wow, that is amazing. Still on the Global Talkative series with our guest, Buki Abadewonda, Principal Consultant at Shura Consult. And today's topic of discussion has been the ABC of Canadian immigration and settlement, the steps towards permanent relocation, study, business, and visit opportunities. I want to thank Bumzi for joining. D Adekugwe, Pastor D, thank you for joining. We appreciate for taking time to join this conversation. Bukola Mensarat Faturuti, all the way from Scotland or London. Thank you for joining. We appreciate you for all those who are joining. We're still on this same topic of the key steps to take if anyone wants to migrate to Canada, and you explain several streams, through that platform. Now, some people ask me a question sometimes that, okay, let's say for example Nigeria. I'm in Nigeria. working in a bank, earning good salary, manager level,
mm,
husband 40 years, wife 35 years. They both got master's degree, and they're above the regular age range.
mm.
What is the fate of these individuals? Good job, good salary, but they want some better life for themselves. So 40,
Okay.
35, but master's degree, both of them.
Okay. Okay. So one of the routes that I didn't mention when I said, okay, if you're above 34 is I didn't mention the route of the business route. So the business route is also something that is available to good people in managerial level, for instance, senior managerial level, or people who run their own business and is successful. Now, business route in Canada is also, it's also not like, oh, I have money, I can just drop my money, and maybe buy a house, or just invest in this business and that's it, I'll get my papers. No, you still have to qualify.
Mm,
Everything with Canada is eligibility. You still must be eligible. And now with this one, with the business immigration, the federal government doesn't do it. The federal government has scrapped its own program, so it's only done at the provincial level. Not every province has a business route. So you have to go through the province. Each province has its own criteria, which I cannot even start mentioning here because it's very different for each province. Now, minimum investment you find for any province is about maybe $100,000 that you need to invest. And most of them require you to have at least about $500,000 net worth.
mm,
So when you're looking at $500,000 net worth, and now just look at it that this is the minimum. In reality, it's actually almost double this that you actually need to invest and put in, because when you're talking about even just the fee that retaining, like I said, we don't do it, but law firms who do this, charge even a retainer fee of about $20,000-$30,000. So you
wow.
must have money to actually be able to do this route. It's not just for anybody. You must have the money, and it's not something that you can actually even do yourself. You need expertise in Canada because
Mm,
you need to do business evaluation, business planning. You need to have an accountant who needs to do feasibility study for you, depending on what kind of business. You need to ascertain a business plan. Those are things that, unless you're really a special expert and you can dedicate time, you may not be able to do. So those are the things you need to consider. People that are above this age can also consider. So, but now, what's the reality of how many people that can actually meet that in Nigeria? It may not be a lot. And if you actually have that kind of money in Nigeria, you probably don't want to even leave.
yeah, yeah,
So that's also the reality. So now, coming back to your scenario, husband is 40 years, wife is 35.
yeah.
Again, like I said, this scenario with masters would have been a perfect thing as of the beginning to May of last year, but not anymore. Things have completely changed and they are never going to go back to the way it was as at the beginning of last year.
Mm,
That's the reality. So now, what do those people want to consider? They most likely want to consider, okay, can they look for jobs? you know that's the reality. Can they look for jobs? It's still a reality, as much as it may be tough to do, but it's still a reality that they have to consider. Can they look for jobs? Can they start reaching out again? What is the field? People who are in tech, people who are in IT have a better chance of relocating under a job offer than any other field.
mm.
So now the question is, how willing are you to go out there, put your resume together, or get an expert to put your resume together, start reaching out to recruiters, start reaching out. Like I said, there are international recruitment agencies that they are licensed. Like, you don't need to pay them because the employer is the one that has paid them to go and hire. It's illegal for a recruitment company to actually charge you to actually look for a job for you.
Can you
That's
say that
the
again, please, to our
it
audience?
is it is illegal in Canada for a recruitment company to charge you to look for a job for you in Canada.
Mm,
It
thank
is
you for that.
illegal. So any international recruitment agency you're working for, they may charge you for any other fee, but it cannot be for to look for a job for you, because the employers are the ones that are paying them to
Yeah.
actually. So most of these people, they build their books by going out there and looking for. And most of the international recruitment companies right now, if you go and Google them, there's a list of almost 400. We posted a few on our page, on Instagram then, and we'll still try to do whether we can do a newsletter to people out. So try to subscribe for our newsletter. But there are a lot of them out there, and some of them are specialized. For instance, if you're a nanny, if you're a babysitter, a nanny, there's an agency for that. That's all they do. There are ones for welders, there are ones for carpenters, there are ones for this thing, but you have to polish yourself and put
mm,
yourself together. People get these jobs. It's just that Africans, we don't get it most of the time,
yeah,
because a lot of us don't package ourselves well to be able to. Most times, most of these companies are not owned by Africans, so they are more lean towards people that are from other countries or
yeah,
other continents because of this. So if you must approach this set of people, you must be extremely professional to approach them so that you stand a better chance. So that's still one way and one route that is still very feasible, especially for people who are in IT, business analysis. That is a field that they need a lot of people in Canada. So if you can prove yourself and say, okay, I have this, then you're going to just go to those recruitment companies and say, okay, and you're dropping your resume, you're following up with the recruiters and all of that. It's a long route, but it's possible. The other step for this kind of couple would be coming to school. Now, coming to school now, it's a bit relative. The younger you are, the better for your chances of study visa
yeah,
approval. So because we all know that study visa is not guaranteed. It's a discretionary visa, which means that the visa officer is looking at your application, needs to feel convinced based on all the evidence you've provided. Sorry, based on all the evidence you've provided to them, that you are going to return back to your own country. We all know that nobody is returning back to their own country when they come to Canada, but you must still convince the visa officer that you're going to return back to your home country when you're done with your school, just because they don't want you to now be stuck in Canada. Because
yeah,
believe it or not, there are people that have come here, and the reason why maybe visas are tougher for we Nigerians and Africans is because a lot of people who have come here as students disappeared into the system. Canada keeps record. When you
mm,
come in as a student and you register with your school gives a report back every semester to the government, to say that this person was enrolled. If you did not enroll too, they would also say that this person did not enroll. So they have these statistics, and the people who are the most guilty people for not finishing their school and everything are Africans. So when
yeah,
they do what they do, it's not because they just hate us, it's because of our color of our skin. No, nothing like that. Is
yeah,
they have the numbers and they have the statistics to prove it. Why? So 4 out of every 5 visas from Nigeria gets refused. From Africa actually gets refused. Why? Because of things like this. So if you must do it, you must also be very professional. You must defend it. So you can't say that you're a banker now, and just because you know that IT is a big thing, you now want to go into IT, or maybe because you studied agriculture in your bachelor's degree
mm,
and you've had 10 years experience as a farmer, as a farm person, and you're doing very well, but you now say, okay, I want to come to Canada. I want to now go and put IT, because that's the in thing. They're going to
yeah,
refuse your visa because it does not make sense. It is not reasonable that you can establish yourself as an IT person after working 10 years in an agricultural field. So you have to look for school fits, you have to look for program fits based on your experience, and based on where you are. So someone who is 30, who's 35, 35 and 40, most times I always recommend to my own clients that they go with their wife,
yeah,
simply because their wife comes in first. I know a lot of people sometimes resist that, no, I want to be the one to go. But there's a bit of a leniency. If there's no proven record anywhere. So if you
yeah,
quote me, I'm going to deny you. But there's a bit of a leniency towards women than it is for men when
mm,
it comes to visa application. And also because mothers, especially when you have kids, mothers are nurturers. So they know
yeah,
that there's no way you can abandon your kids and say you're going to Canada. So if you leave your kids and your spouse behind and you move to Canada, what then now happens is you are able to show that I have strong ties, strong family ties. I'm doing this for my kids and I'm moving to Canada. So that will be the option that you say, okay, I want to do a student route for my family, for my kids, and that's what I
mm,
would recommend. So student routes or business routes will be the option, or even the job route. But then it's only certain, I mean, that's why there's no limitation to anybody who can get a job in reality, because everybody can actually, go into the recruitment companies. It just depends on, are you what they are looking for?
mm. Thank you very much, Buki, for those information. They are very explosive, and I see guys from around the world, putting in some comments like Samson Ogubodan from Onipan, Pan Group Onipan, Lagos. saying well done and all of those messages. And Irene has a question. Thank you for those who are watching. Tony McGrath, thank you for watching. We appreciate you. There's a question from Irene. She said, why do some people choose the easy way out? That is the asylum seekers or those who walk in across the border, especially from United States. Why did they do that? Thank you. Let's just
Okay.
address that question before we go to the next question.
Okay, so I mean, you've seen all the things that I've listed out for you,
Yeah.
and how Canadian immigration is getting tougher.
Mm,
It wasn't as tough as this in 2018. I was begging people when I started this business, back in 2018 when I turned it into a business. I'm like, you people should do it now. Like, this thing is not going to continue to remain like this. So you've seen now that even from 2018 how it's changed. So it's now become tougher. So some people are not willing to go through the long route, unfortunately. And so they decide that they want to go and cross through the border and come in. And then, sometimes, I mean, I've met a few people who are on, who have come in as asylum seekers, and they kind of tell people back home that, oh, is the easiest thing out
mm,
there. And then you find people saying, I'm coming here. We've had several calls, and we tell people we don't do it. We don't advise you how to come here. We don't do refugee, because people call and say, I just want to come and claim refugee, because that's what their friends have told them they've done, and they've success. So I guess it's just the way things are. People are not ready. Even people that are eligible, sometimes they're not ready to put in the work, because even when you're eligible, that's the first step. Okay, I'm eligible. Can you pass IELTS? Can you sit down and actually study for your IELTS? And can you do all the steps? Can you be patient enough to work out your stuff? So those are all the things, that factors are there. And I think, especially for our people, I mean, with regards to Irene's question, I know she's mostly, our emphasis is on Nigerians. I think, it's just that impatience. So if people are a little bit patient, if people act on time, if people are patient, then I think that um then things will be a lot more, um a lot
easy.
more better for people. Yeah.
Someone is asking, Buki, are you in Nigeria or Canada? At the beginning of the broadcast, I did mention that Buki is in Canada. So we are broadcasting from our studio here through this platform from Canada. So that's just the question, easy peasy like that. Now, still on the issue of coming to Canada, you mentioned several steps by which we can come, but the easiest route, which is not the best route, is the asylum, which I will never encourage because it is
It's not
like
an easy, no, let me
it's
debunk
in
that.
fact it's not even easy. Yeah, let me
It's
correct
not
that
an easy. Have,
because
have
it's
you
not.
have you have you seen people who have been refused? Have you seen
Yeah,
people who have established their lives for 5, 6 years, 7 years? There were
and
two
come back.
Nigerians in particular this year. Was it this year in the news? They made CBC news.
Yeah,
One, they have two kids, and they came in here, and they had claimed asylum, and obviously they were already getting, and then the government said no, they are refusing their claim because it's not legit.
wow,
And they had to send them back, and they said, oh, their daughter, they crossed from, and they refused them. So the devastating effect, especially if your kids have lived here for 2, 3 years, and then you tell them, oh, we are being deported, we're leaving the country. No, it's not an easy route. But people that are here, maybe because they were able to,
to get escape.
whatever, do
So
escaped it, so they make it look like it's easy. No, it's not easy, because you have to defend yourself, you have to do a whole lot of things, which, yeah.
in fact, it's a major stress because you have to go through the American embassy first, scale the order before you now get to America. So it is not the best way to come to Canada. If you're listening to me, that is why we have
But
Bookie
also,
in out.
yeah, yeah. So, but also, let me say this: there are people that may have legit claims. Now, if you have legit claims and you need to claim asylum, as in Canada, Canada would take care of you. However, if you
Mm,
don't have legit claims, which most times we don't have, because where is it that you cannot? I mean, but there are a few cases that I've heard of, even from Nigeria, that are actually legit,
yeah.
you know, and those cases, any lawyer will be willing to stand for you and fight for those cases until you get your permanent
Now,
residency.
why you said that, I remember a story that my friend told me in Toronto of a woman that came in through visiting visa and then, decided to go for asylum, all because she was escaping domestic violence.
Yeah.
She's been beaten, battered, and she came for something like maybe medical, whatever. And that was just the only route to escape the domestic abuse, and then they can see there's several evidences to prove that this
Evidence.
woman
Yeah.
has been going through that. And for her, she was given the right, to stay. Her asylum, papers was granted. So in some
Absolutely.
cases, if you have, for example, we have folks who are coming from war-torn countries,
Yeah.
that the only way to come in through asylum, platform. So those are genuine cases in which they can, come in through. But in all, the question is, which of the platform or venue is the best option to come here? You know, Putting the factor of age or education, you explain all of that. Which of the platform is the best? Because I know there are alternatives.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, if you're like I said, less than 34, masters, two certificates, depending on the profile. Um, then your best option obviously is to look at the express entry or look at the provincial route. That will be your fastest option. Coming as a permanent resident is always the best option, especially for those who qualify. So if you're here, you're listening, and you're within this age range, and maybe you're scared of IELTS, or somebody failed it before and they told you not to, not to bother, you're going to fail. It's not true. It is absolutely not true. We have 50 clients on our roster right now, whom we're working with, and a lot of them are going through tutorials. The ones who have gone through tutorials with our tutor partner, they've all passed their IELTS the way we need them to pass the IELTS. So IELTS can be passed. It's a lie that they've set up the exam so that you fail it and you keep writing again. That's a myth. You can
Hmm.
pass the IELTS. So if that's what you need to do, then that's what you're doing. So if you're looking to come, your fastest option is going through, because express entry is fast, because the moment you get an invitation to apply, give or take 6 months. We've never even had an application that have gone above 6 months, except for COVID that has now stalled things. That's why we have all our previous clients who have come in, is always 4.5 months, 5 months, they're done, their COPR is out. But that does not mean that there are no exceptions. But for the most part, if your application is done well, don't have any reason to be passing around or asking questions, you will get it almost within that time frame to be able to get it approved and come back to and get it approved and come to Canada. So but then if you are not eligible, again, like the age factor that I've said, then your other option, then some people, I mean, just because less than 34 is categorized into two, there are people that are less than 30, there are people that are above 30 but less than 35, actually less than 35, so your max is 34. You most likely are looking at provincial nominations. Do you qualify under Ontario? Are you in the right knock code? So a lot of factors, there are people that we've done consultations for. We had somebody in February that they were in the wrong knock code, and we did, and I'm like, you're in the wrong knock code. That's why you've not been invited. They changed it 2 days after they got an invitation when they did a
Wow.
draw. And that was a saving grace, because they've not even done a draw as low as that ever since. So it's all about the right information at the right time.
Time. Hmm.
So because you may have the right information, but if you don't use it, the window may pass.
Hmm.
And that window for them is like, they're just always like bookie. They've sent so many people to do consultations with us ever since, because they're just like, you saved us just right on time, because they've been doing it themselves, but they were stuck, for almost a year. So right information at the right time, start considering. If you're above 30, you're most likely trying to consider um provincial nomination. And then if you are above if you're 35 and above, then you want to start considering, okay, am I able, or am I willing to come to school? Know that coming to school is not an easy route, but for everybody that I know that comes to school, they have a reason. What's your why? Why do you want to come to Canada? Let that be your driving force, not the fact that I'm going to just come to school and do school. But let the driving force of why you want to do, and you don't have to go and kill yourself with a master's program. I know we have, especially for Nigerians and Africans, we have this thing about it must be a master's. You can do a 1 year program that is done in 8 months. Do it and get out.
Yeah.
Just choose the right province, right? Choose the right province that you know that when you finish, you can get your PR without even going through the stress of express entry, and do it. 8 months, you're out. And within 1 year, we had a client like that. Within 1 year, they got their PR, because as they were finishing, it was Canadian education. We had done all the steps. We submitted within 3.5 months, they got their PR. So those are things, you don't have to make it complicated.
Hmm.
Just do the right things, get the right information. That's why people like us were here.
Thank you so much for that. We still have about 10 minutes more in this broadcast. And then while you were talking, you said something about tutorial. And then Feidi said tutorial info. Now, Fade is on Instagram. I'm just going to give you Bookie's number. It's right on the screen for all those who are watching us on YouTube and Facebook. And you can go to my YouTube channel to see all the information because, as we were discussing from my studio, the website of Shira Consult is being displayed, and the phone number for Bookie here in Canada is +1 587 887 2045 for calls only. And then if you're in Nigeria or in Africa, you can
Or
call
in
you know,
anywhere in the world,
anywhere,
because it's
anywhere in the
WhatsApp.
world.
Yeah, that's
You
our
can call
WhatsApp
this
line.
WhatsApp line +234 708 620 0612 for calls and WhatsApp. And then you can email Bookie at inquiries at shuraconsult.com, or to make your life easier, go to shuraconsult.com. It's spelled SHIRAHCOUNSULTS.com. Shira Consult. Now, the next question I have for you, Buki, is this: what do you do when it seems you have done all you can and nothing seems to be working? And this is the case of many people out there. So, what do you do? Because I have an experience of a guy that actually was doing this same procedure, like when we were in Nigeria. And this person started like 5 years before we started ours. But eventually, she got in like 8 years after. But not so many have that, flexibility of patience. So, in such cases, what word of advice when you've done everything?
I would say that have you sought professional help? Have you, because there's so many information out there. There's so many. In fact, if you go on Instagram, we have plenty people documenting their process. This is it, this is that. But we still have so many people booking our consultations. Why?
Hmm.
Because it's not just about all this information. And with somebody I was on a call with yesterday said, Bookie, you know what? I've been reading information. Sometimes I spend 3 hours a day, just filtering information before I decide that, you know what, I'm done when I saw your ad on Facebook, right? And we now had a plan, and he had a plan right in front of him, which he could not see because the information is just too much. So if you've at least sought professional help, the right professional help,
Yeah.
and they tell you that there's nothing that you can possibly do, then you probably just have to accept your fate, or you want to try through school. School is always an option that is left on the table. Why the fact that, and now this is where I'm going to also put this, there's something that is called a judicial review. So many times people are scared of um you know of being rejected for study visa. Now this is what I tell people: even if you're rejected for a study visa, there's what is called a judicial review that can help with your study visa refusal. But first of all, your application must have been very strong to start off with. So if you don't submit a strong application, your judicial review would not help you. Now, a judicial review just simply means that an immigration lawyer or a lawyer who does immigration, can then now, help you file to the court,
Hmm.
and be able to now get maybe a that decision overturned, or for that study visa. So two things happen when that happens. Now they can either say that submit a new application, which means when they tell you to submit a new application, they are now going to assign an officer to actually look at it. So it's not going to
Okay.
be like the normal process where they just said you're just no, an officer, and then that officer has to give you a benefit of a doubt for the most part, because now it's
Okay.
going through a judicial review. Or they will now say the court may find your arguments from your lawyer, may find it very valid, and they will say that the decision the visa officer made was wrong, and then they can now say, okay, let the same another visa officer review that same application you submitted before. And then when they do that, if there's anything that is missing that made them make that wrong decision, they will now have you do that. Judicial review is not cheap.
Hmm.
Judicial review is minimum $4,000.
Wow.
Some lawyers charge up to $6,000 for judicial review. So if you're willing to stake, if really you want to come and you're like, this is the way I want to come, submit a strong application. Use an expert to submit a strong application. If you decide to do it yourself, do a judicious work of doing a strong application. If you get refused, go through the process of judicial review. Trust me, 95% of the time, judicial review comes back favorable.
Wow.
So you stand a very good chance of getting your study visa approved if you go through a judicial review, even if you were refused before, as long as your application in the first place, because if it was not strong, they would throw it out and you'd have just spent money for nothing.
Okay.
Because, yeah.
No, sorry for to cut you. Go. Sorry. Continue. I thought you were done.
No, no. So that's it. A judicial review. So if you have money and you're like, I really, really want to do, then this is your best option. If every other route has failed, because at least if you choose the right province and you're already here, you will get your permanent residency and you
Yeah.
come as a student.
Thank you very much. I have a question from Timele Samuel, who is watching us on Facebook. Said, if I have an handiwork, though educated, which route do you think it's good since I'm over 34 years old?
So now the thing with federal skill trades, I mentioned federal skill trades for handiwork people. The difference between them and federal skilled worker is that they need to have a job offer to be able to migrate to Canada. Federal skilled workers don't need a job offer, but federal skilled trades need either a job offer or they need to have what is called a certificate of qualification
Yeah.
from a province. So certificates of qualification is a provincial thing. It's done by each province. So you just need for one province. So now that certificate of qualification would be that, and most times it requires you to write an exam. Now all you need to do now, Timileyin, is to go and check the different provinces based on your trade, which one maybe has the simplest or the most simplified um process for you to follow through. You will still need to come to Canada. You will probably, and at the point where you've done all the processes, you can apply for a visitor's visa and then now say, okay, I'm coming to Canada to come and write this exam, and that's why you're applying for a visitor's visa. Now, with things being online now, they might possibly be writing the exam. So if it goes even online, then it's even better. You don't need to come to Canada and you can become licensed in that trade. Once you have a certificate of qualification as a skilled trades person, the requirement is very low. The
Mm,
requirements for skilled trades people is like the draws are like 300 and something for
mm,
skilled trades people. It's very low because they know most skilled trades don't have education self. So
yeah.
if you're educated, it's a big plus for you. You still
Mm,
need to write IELTS, but it's a big plus for you. But you need, if you can't get a job offer, you need a certified a certificate of qualification. So we had somebody who were doing that for, but then he became a manager, so we could bring him in under federal skilled worker. So we didn't need it. Again, if you're a manager, then you're not going to be assessed as a federal skilled trades.
mm,
You will most likely be assessed under the federal skilled worker because managers have moved away from technical to now managerial roles.
mm. Thank you very much. I just sent you a message. I want to quickly read the message, and I have a question from someone in Nigeria. This person, she is a school administrator,
Okay.
and she's thinking of relocating to Canada. She's got a school of herself, of her own, with about 25 teachers, and she wanted to relocate to Canada just to have a good life for, a family, and all of that. And she's over 35 years old, but she has a school, she has all the experience, all of that. She's a teacher herself and also a school administrator.
Mhm.
So she's watching us right now, on
Okay.
Instagram. Advise her what process, how can she, go about coming to Canada?
I would say that for her, because of the age, most likely what our option would be is because as a school administrator, she has managerial experience,
Yeah.
she has leadership experience. She can come for an MBA program because she can't come under the business route, no matter how much she has. Because there is no business route in coming to set up a school because school is a regulated industry in
Yeah.
Canada. So she can't say, okay, I'm coming here to come and set up a school because she can't do that.
Mm,
So what she can then do is, and you cannot come here and come and set up a different business than the business you are currently have expertise in.
yeah.
Because you must show that you have transferable skills that is going to help you succeed in running that business. So what I would recommend for someone like that is coming through the school route, come for an MBA. She's already shown that, okay, I lead my team, and that's a good case that I want to improve myself. And then once she comes in, pick the right kind of province for her so that she's able to easily she's able
Transfer.
to easily get a PR when she comes in. And she has to, as a visa study visa application has to be very strong. She has to explain why at her age she's coming for an MBA, who is going to be managing her school when she's away, how would she continue to perform her duties. She has to answer all those questions when she's submitting a study visa application.
Thank you very much. To all that thoughts, we have this session extended. Thank you, Wiki, for having the opportunity to do that, for extending the time because, and I'm saying this for our audience on Instagram because Instagram only allows 1 hour per time of the, streaming, but on this platform, YouTube and Facebook will continue. Now, as soon as we're timed out on Instagram, we're going to log in again so that you can come back to join the discussion. We'll continue that discussion, and before we go on that transmission, someone sent a question from Instagram, which I want to read the question. She said, okay, from Irene said, I used an agent for my application to Canada, although I was working in an embassy and I knew I would get my visa, but I didn't have the time to go about it. So, okay, oh, I think she was answering someone's question saying, let her contact Shira Consult. So thank you for that question. Now, the question I have is this: is Canada a dreamland? You know, we you said something about Canadian dream. We're used to like American dream. So, and the word Canada dream, popped up while we're discussing. We're in a discussion. So, is Canada a dreamland?
I can only speak for myself. Yes. I was in a conversation with a group of people yesterday, and we're all talking about US, Canada, and all of that. And, at the end of the day, out of we're a group of 10, and out of the 10 of us, 8 of us said we would never leave Canada. And that's the reality. I love it in Canada. I would not trade it for anything. The opportunities that Canada has given me has been enormous. Canada is my dreamland. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I would keep my roots in Nigeria. I would travel to the US because the kind of work I do, apart from even immigration, requires me to do that. But I think Canada for me is not, I know Canada for me is home. If I ever decide to live here, it will be that there's a really, really strong reason for me to live here. But Canada is dream home for me.
Okay, we just quickly want to switch back to our Instagram so that we can just get others on Instagram, coming. So, all right, we're gonna go back on Instagram Live. Sorry for the transmission. We just wanna. Okay, welcome back to this second segment of the Global Talkative Series with Buki Abanewanda, the principal consultant at Shira Consults. And our discussion, our topic of discussion today has been a very, very, important topic: the APC of Canadian immigration and settlement, steps towards permanent relocation, study, business, and visitor opportunities. So let's bring her in right away on Instagram to continue this conversation. And I have a question pending from someone. Oh, okay, welcome back on Instagram. So I have a question from someone who is watching from Nigeria. This is a question on the screen. Ogubano Samshidin. He said, like me, I'm into printing and branding, and I want to relocate to Canada with my family. What is the best route for me?
I can't give a blanket answer
Yeah.
because I don't know much details. But then is to printing and branding is, are you a self-employed person? Self-employment is, you can actually be a self-employed person under federal skilled worker. But the key is federal self-employed people need to do more work, proving that they are self-employed than people that work for somebody else. Just for
Okay.
the reason that you're self-employed. So basically you can maneuver anything for yourself and say, okay, this is it, right? So you need to have records. Are you registered? Is your business registered? With CAC? The name suggests you're in Nigeria. So are you registered with CAC? Even if it's just a business name, do you file taxes? Do you charge your clients taxes? Even if you don't, but do you have taxes filed? But even if you don't say you have taxes, do you have invoices, things like that? You just need to have more documentations than somebody who is working for someone, because the proof is higher. So it just really depends on what your age is, your spouse's age, who is better as a primary applicant, passing IELTS, and a whole lot of other factors. So you have to book a consultation for us to know more and how to help you.
Okay, Mr. Gubano Samsudin, I will post something on the screen now. That is the contact for the principal consult of Atshira Consult. That's Buki Abanewanda, our guest. So if you're in Nigeria, there's a WhatsApp number displaying on the screen right now that you can just, copy, and then you can just, give her a call or send her a message on WhatsApp, book a consultation. That's another thing we need to talk about. Book is available for consultation, and we'll get to that towards the end of this discussion as we go on. This is still the Global Talkative Series, a global platform for collaboration, information sharing, ideas, dissemination, where we've come to learn from experts who have been doing some amazing work in our community. And our guest today is Buki Abanewanda, the principal consultant at Shira Consult. And I have a question. What would you have for individuals who are planning to migrate, and are committed to moving to Canada? What word do you want to tell them? Because everybody wants to come to Canada, but there's some things they need to know. What word of advice do you have for those? Because while I wanted to come to Canada, like, I had no idea of coming to Canada. That's the truth.
Mm.
My wife brought up the idea. For me, I love to travel around the world, but I've never thought of Canada's never crossed my mind that I'm going to settle in Canada, because number one, what was at the back of my mind was Canada is the coldest place on earth. It's too cold. I don't want to live there. What I've seen on TV, no way. But the idea came from my wife. Said Canada, the fear of cold first was the beginning of wisdom for me. That I'm going to go into this country, and of course I got air. Of course, if someone is telling you that okay, the cold is not, it's not a lie. It's cold. That's the truth. And those kind of cultural, shocks like that. So, what word would you want to tell someone? Not, I'm not scaring anybody to come to Canada. No, it's a good place to come. But as an expert in this consultancy business of relocation, settlement, what word do you have for our audience out there?
So I'll take it from two angles. The first angle is when you're doing your process. Some people's process has taken them less than a year, and there are some other people's process that has taken them 2 years and 3 years, because things keep changing. You may have a very good path right now, and a policy change might just turn your application upside down, and you have to basically start all over again. We've seen it happen. So my first thing that I want to say to people like that is be patient. Don't stop living your life in Nigeria or in Africa or wherever you live because you want to come to Canada. Build your life. When I was coming, my goal was to come to Canada in 2012 because I started my process. I missed my application by 1 day.
Wow.
1 day. And at that time for study visa application, they had 3 months the 3 months
Period.
caveat that if you don't submit, if you are 1 day late, don't bother submitting because your study visa would not be
Approved.
assessed.
Yes, yeah, okay.
So I didn't even know that until when I was about to submit, and I now saw that caveat, and I put everything together, and I
Wow.
saw it, and it says what I was 1 day. So I had to wait for a whole year,
Wow.
to actually apply. I applied for my study visa. The next year, I was the first person to get my admission again from the same school. I stayed with the same school. But guess what? That same year was the year, it was after the whole thing that I got a job. And that job helped me in getting my first job in Canada because I did that 1 year of work, because I was coming straight out of NYC. That 1 year of work made a difference because at least it gave me that exposure and it gave me
Yeah.
something to say, okay, I started. So I, instead of me starting from a lower position, I started from a higher position because of that, at least that 1 year experience. So don't stop living your life. Look at it. I'm coming to Canada. Okay, it's going to happen. Especially if you're eligible and you know, okay, I meet all the metrics. I just need to do a few things. Pace yourself. Build your savings. We have a client now. They came, got their PR last year. They only landed. They've gone back to Nigeria. They are going to build their savings. They're not in a hurry to move because
Yeah.
things are a bit better for them. So they want to plan their move before they come. So don't be in such a hurry to come that you uproot everything, your whole life away from Nigeria. You need that source of income that you
Yeah.
have in Nigeria until you settle here. If you have a business, do it. In fact, this is the time to build structure, to build a lot of things into it that the business can operate independent of you, or at least with the right team members. So live your life, be patient. Now, if you're coming to Canada, I can tell you that you're going to make it. That one I can assure you. But the thing is, you have to be willing to put in what it takes to make it in Canada. We had a series called Connecting You to Industry Professionals on Instagram, in the period between April and June. And we had all of them, all Nigerians in different fields, from science field to a doctor, to a lawyer, to a nurse, to everybody were on the different people. And all of these people were able to make it through all the different challenges. We had even somebody in the agricultural field also there. So you are going to make it. You just need the right strategy. You just need to be patient. Even in Canada, it's going to happen. But you first of all need to know, what is my reality to come to Canada, so you know that you're setting yourself up for the right expectations.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for those who are joining on this platform. We got about 20 minutes more, which we want to still, discuss some things. And if you have a question for Buki, she's still here for the next 20 minutes. You can just, type in your question on Instagram or on Facebook, on YouTube. You can ask the question. Just some days ago, about like 2 days ago, yeah, I got a call from someone in Nigeria. Said, "Oh, Larry, hey, guess what? I got my Canadian documentation, something. I said, okay, calm down, explain." She said, well, we're applying for provincial nomination
Mm,
through Saskatchewan, Regina, and that then they were asking for farmers, those who have experience in agri farmers, agri
mm,
managers, agri that, and everything, like you mentioned about Toronto,
mm,
and that we came in through that platform. Now, this guy is 40, 40, about 42 years old, and the wife is still probably 35 or 34. I'm not sure, but the wife, happens to be the principal applicant. She studied agric related courses at university. The husband is actually a pastor, of a church. So said, and called me and said, okay, we got in. And again, in Saskatoon, I had a friend of mine 2 years ago that came in. My friend's daughter got admission to University of Regina, and my friend is well over 50, and his wife well over 40. But they came in last year. But I know they came in. So
yeah, yeah.
can you explain, because you mentioned some provinces that still allow people to come in based on kind of trade here and there. So I know of Saskatoon, I know of Manitoba. Which other province do you think? And then is it kind of part of the services in which you offer your clients?
Yes. So now again, you said your friend came in last year.
Yeah.
You see, between November of last, between those your friends would not be able to make it to Saskatchewan again, based on how things have changed.
Wow.
Again, immigration is always changing. So for those of you who are eligible today, you got to take it.
Mm,
Immigration is going to continue to stiffen up,
mm,
continue to stiffen up. The
mm-hmm.
requirements will continue to stiffen up, because those people, we had a 46-year-old client. Is she 46? No, 43. We got invitation for a 43 and for a 46-year-old client last year from Saskatchewan. But that cannot be a reality again, because
Wow.
Saskatchewan has also tipped their scales. So
Mm.
now that's why I told you the cutoff point right now, based on what we know, is like 34 that we
Is
can.
it across Canadian nation,
Well,
across
see,
the whole
so now
country?
let's look at it. Each province has different things that they are looking for. Now, you see, any other province, Saskatchewan, Ontario, and Alberta are the only provinces that do not require you to have ties to the provinces to be invited to apply.
Okay.
So, but every other province, New Brunswick and then Nova Scotia, you see New Brunswick, you see Prince Edward Island, you see Manitoba, even Newfoundland. All of those other provinces require you. BC, British Columbia, requires you to have a job offer. So each one of them requires you to have some ties to the province, either via a job offer or via a family member. So now when it comes to Nova Scotia does their own draws from the express entry pool unannounced by
Okay.
themselves. So, and
Wow.
they pick specific fields. Now, the fields that I've known that have been popular with them in the past is people in the who are kind of like the teachers, teachers pre the K up teachers, K-12 and below, which
Okay.
is secondary school and
Let's go.
below,
Okay.
right? So those are the kind of people that are popular for them. Accountants, recently registered nurses have become popular for them. People in advertising have also been invited. When they did that draw, they actually did it with a master's. People who had a master's, because we had people who were in the same field but they didn't have a master's, but they didn't invite them. So there, all these things. The first key is if you at least meet some of the eligibility requirements. This is not to say stay in the pool. If because if you are not in the pool for the express entry, you can't even be invited. So if you don't do anything, then nothing happens.
Mm.
For provinces like Saskatchewan, go check your points, and see if you meet the points. The points right now is around 6970, which means for people again that are less than 35, masters and all of that. For a place like Alberta, they also go into the express entry pool. They just invite people sporadically up to even as minimum of 300. We have a client right now whom we did, and we're just waiting for final thing. She got invited through Alberta, and we're just waiting to receive our permanent residency. She's gotten everything. So again, she was in the express entry pool and we got an invitation. Then what other province has something? So Saskatchewan, Alberta, yeah, those are the provinces. Ontario is a good one, but Ontario is for young people. Ontario
Mm.
kind of mimics what the express entry does,
Okay.
basically. So maybe they drop their own points. So if, let's say, the draw in for the for the from the federal government is 470, they can do a 467 or a 465, things like that. So yeah, so it's more for younger people for Ontario.
Okay. Now, thank you so much for that. There's another question I have, that for you to come to Canada, is
Hmm.
it compulsory that you have to have a family member or friends to invite you? Like a lot of folks are
Is
saying
it to
that
visit?
no, no, just to come permanent relocation, permanent
No,
resident.
not at all. Not at all. You don't
Because
need family. You
yeah,
don't need any family to come to. I mean, for the longest time, I was the only person that came from my house. It's just now that my siblings are joining me. And there are so many clients that we do for. In fact, most of our clients actually don't have any family here,
hmm,
which is why they're using our services, because nobody to say, okay, this is what you're doing. And so most of our clients don't have any family here. It's only, however, if you have family in a place like Saskatchewan, if you have family in a place like New Brunswick, if you have family in a place like Prince Edward Island, maybe Alberta, those will give you a very strong chance at relocating to Canada, if you have families in those provinces.
now, I don't want to give out so much information because Bookie is running a business here, and we are in the business to make our friends profit. So, if you want to know more, as because a lot of folks keep asking me, can you write us an invitation letter, all of that, and I say, you know what, I don't know jack about that. The whole procedure was done by my wife. I was just signing documents and paying the bill, signing, and then she said, okay, now we got the letter, we're
You-
going. So, I this is what I know how to do best to promote this, to help people, achieve and come to their dreams. And that's what I'm doing. So if you need any information regarding coming to Canada, I encourage you to go with Shura Consults, to give you a peace of mind, and to have a sane for your sanity. It's better because I've got a lot of enemy, like some folks take me as an enemy, that you are there, you can't write us a letter of invitation. I said, I don't know how it works. That sure, am I just going to write you that? What am I going to address you to? The mayor or the prime minister, that my friend is coming. Please, can you allow the person? And I said, sorry, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how it works. But now that you explain to us that you need to have a family member in Canada for you to come, that makes it easier. That means you just need the right information, and that is what we're providing for you. I have a question on Instagram from Gerard in Lagos. Gerard underscore in underscore Lagos said the rate of study visa denial seems high. Please, what tips to help in securing the study visa?
Well, so for the most part, I would say that maybe 80% of people submitting study visas from Nigeria have no clue what they're doing. And I say that um, because we see people, for those who book consultations, who come to us eventually, maybe after they've been refused and now they need help, or before they now go. And then when you hear how they wanted to put the application together, and you're like, how would this have been approved? Which is why the rates are high. There was a I think it was done when the former minister of immigration. There was a news article that he had talked about that. We don't just refuse visa applications because we want to refuse visa, and they gave several instances as to reasons why study visa applications. That sometimes even the schools that some people have applied to is fake. Some
Hmm.
people have applied to even fake schools, right?
Wow.
So, and they look at it, and the school doesn't
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
even exist.
Sorry for the breaking transmission. We're gonna be
in
back.
So the school doesn't. Please, can you hold on?
Just on a short break. Our guest will be back shortly. We
Sorry,
have questions waiting in
my
line.
my laptop. I just need to get a charger for the
Think. Okay.
laptop.
All right. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Still waiting to
Just a
hear you
moment.
from on. So I have a question online from Gerard in Lagos saying, please, is AIPP still working? I hardly see people make it via that route. We're going to answer that question in just a minute. And also, I have I have a question from Jared that was saying, coming to study in Canada, can I come with my family? All those questions, we're going to answer that question just in a minute. We just want to get our guest back online to fix some little technical, challenges with the platform where we're communicating from our hand. And if you still have a question for our guests, please feel free to type in your question. If you're watching us on Instagram, if you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook, please send in your question. We still got about like 10, 15 minutes more. We still have time to answer the question. Thank you for your patience. We appreciate holding on for us on this. So, Buki, you can just send the application again, send in the invitation again on Instagram, and then we will, from the laptop, you can send in information again, and we will continue right from there. Our guest is coming back just a little bit, trying to get things in. Okay, you can just use the same link to bring the information to bring you into the studio. We'll be right back. So our guest is coming in back online for our viewers on YouTube and Facebook, and our viewers on Instagram. Just be patient. So she's just in the studio right about now. So your microphone has to be connected to the laptop so that you can come in automatically. Your microphone needs to be connected. Just few minutes, seconds more, we'll be back online with our guest. Is the microphone connected to the laptop? Okay, if that is not possible, I think we can just continue on Instagram. So we can just continue the conversation on Instagram. Any update from your end? Hello, can you hear me? Okay, it's been an amazing, yeah, it's been an amazing session, and I want to encourage you to please hold on. We are still live on Instagram, but we want to get our guests back into the studio on YouTube and Facebook because we still got some questions around, around the topic of today's discussion, the ABC of Canadian immigration and settlement, steps towards permanent relocation, study, business, and visitor opportunities. People say like we have questions around, okay, I want to come and visit, and is there any special requirements regarding age or whatsoever? And then I guess as we've spoken extensively about business opportunities, that you can be a businessman in Nigeria and you can also come to start or extend your business to Canada. And there's a lot of process to go through that. And also for studying, which is one of the best ways to come into Canada through visa, coming through student visa to come and study in Canada, which is still one of the best options. And also the availability, the option of permanent relocation through the streams for provincial nomination or through the express entry that you can come in through, and the procedures are also there. And I'm displaying here, you can have on the screen the website of our guests, www.shiraconsult.com, to ask any other question or a follow-up question based on the discussion. And also you can also book a session with our guests to have in-depth knowledge about what to do. And I'm going to give the contact information of our guest once again. If you're in Canada and you want to reach Bookie, you can reach her on +1 587 887 2045. I'll take that again. If you're in Canada, you want to reach Shira Consult or Bookie, you can call +1 587 887 2045. And that is just for calls only. Now, if you want to send out a WhatsApp call, you want to call her from anywhere in the world, you can use this number +234 708 620 0612. I'll take that again for WhatsApp calls or WhatsApp messages. +234 708 620 0612 for calls and WhatsApp only. And if you want to send an email, you can send an email to inquiries@shiraconsult.com. Shira is spelled SHIRACOUNULTS.com. ShiraConsult.com. Inquiries at ShiraConsult.com in case you want to send her an email. And the website is still www.shiraconsult.com. So we're just waiting for our guests to come in into the studio again. There's a bit of technical, issues, and we're trying to fix that. I hope we get that fixed before the end of today's broadcast. We still have some good minutes to discuss today. Okay, Bookie, on can if you can hear me on Instagram, uh, any updates regarding from your hand? while she's trying to get that fixed, I want to take this time to appreciate our guests who are watching us on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook. Shola Ogunbo Ogun Nuba, thank you. James Olugbade Adeleye, thank you. Babajide Ajibao from UK, thank you. Stella Ilora Ofo, thank you. Toyi Olayinka, thank you. Tony McGrath, thank you. Bukola Faturi, thank you. Temitope Ojomo, thank you. Gerard in Lagos, thank you. Kark underscore 755, thank you. Ijaoye Adedayo, thank you for joining us as well. Osaso Kelly Winter, thank you for joining us. Iyano Debume, thank you for joining. Beolisa, thank you for joining. I saw your question, Beolisa. I'm going to answer the question. Dear Adekugbe, thank you for joining. We appreciate all of you for joining this conversation. And we're going to answer your question in order. We're just waiting for our guests to come back into the studio on Facebook and YouTube before we go ahead in discussing and our discussion with our guests. Thank you very much. Buki, is we can continue this discussion via Instagram if there still is some challenges around connecting to our audiences on Facebook and YouTube. Any updates? Any update, Buki? We can just continue on Instagram. Don't worry, we just continue. We have I have your website display here on the live chat, and I want to just apologize to all our audience from around the world who are watching me. We have a bit of technical issues with our guests connecting back to you or to us via Facebook and YouTube, but the website is displayed here for you to see, and also the contact numbers to reach Buki on Shira Consults. I want to appreciate you for taking time out to be on this show today. I'm still your host, Lanre Ajayi, and I hope to bring you more exciting episode on the Global Talkative series. So I'll continue the conversation on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Lanre Ajayi1, and also Bookie's Instagram handle is Shira Consults. So you can still join the conversation if you are on Instagram, and then we can continue. Thank you very much.